S. That developed on the plantation, the triangular trade from Europe to Africa, to the Americas, to the Caribbean, where people came from Africa from different tribes, and they brought their tribal languages. And they had to eke out the language to survive on the plantation because the master's language was different. So they merged their language with the master's language. So I'm going to preach a Jamaican style. Good evening, everybody. How you do? This was Marie. How you do?
Yeah, right.
This darling. How you do? Pastor Corey. How you do? How everybody do this evening?
All right.
Me doing well. I'm glad to be here. That's Jamaican pattern. My last name is French. It is LaFate, faith is in destiny. And that was my late husband's name. But I'm not French. Bonjour à tous. Bonjour, French. And we live in a country where we have a great population of Spanish-speaking people, and we must learn to learn other people's language. Buenas tardes. Yo hablo un poco de español. Speaking Spanish. Well, let's get down to earth. Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing this evening?
Good
Now,
evening.
that's the language we know. But I believe in diversity and learning about other people's language and their culture too. So we are celebrating, and it is Women's History Month as well. Women's History 365. And I'm also celebrating Irish Month, Irish Heritage. I was in Ireland for Christmas. Oh yeah, I spent 8 days, 24 of us from my family. We had a great time. So it's just good to be diverse. Celebrating Black History 365 is actually the broad picture of what we're going to be looking at this evening. And I know my time is limited, but I would be remiss, and my late mom, who passed at age 96 and left me the great legacy of being a storyteller, she would be rolling in her grave if I didn't tell a story. So let me start out by telling a story. On the plantation, there was no form of entertainment other than storytelling. So in the late evenings, the grandma or the elders would sit around the fireplace with their children and tell the stories. And one of the stories that stuck with me and all my siblings over the years is a story about a creature called Brown Nancy. That is a spider, Brown Nancy, and broad dog. That's the term they use for them. So there was a party in the village, and I'm going to speak in pattern. There was a party in the village, and then said, no dog, want to come to the party, because dog don't know to be here. Dog was so sad. Dog went to Brown Nancy. Brown Nancy, you have to help me out, man. Then said, they don't want no dog, and they want to go to the party. Can you disguise me? And Brown Nancy agreed, disguise. He dress up raw dog like a man, put on coat and tail and everything, and take down the tail. So the party began, and the music was playing in one room, and the food was being seasoned up in the other room. And the aroma, dog couldn't take it, dog run out of the party room and run to the kitchen, start walking tail, and the women were mad and said, dog, come on, get along here. Oh, we said, no, dog, let's go to the party. Dog went for the dog, so celebrate back in the party. And then the women seasoned the food more. This time he couldn't take it anymore. He got back in the kitchen. This time he popped out the tail and dropped the tail. And the women stopped and said, dog, me said, come on, go to the women here. A dog not belong here. So he didn't have a good night. Again, the night went over to Brown Nancy. Brown Nancy, you let me down, man. Do you promise you wouldn't tell them to me a dog? Brown Nancy said, oh no, me tell them are your action. So what means action speaks louder than words. And we grew up learning those stories with those morals that kept us on the right path. Rosemary,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
can attest to that. Action speaks. So you walk your tail like a dog, you're a dog. You pant like a dog, you're a dog. Brown Nancy never telling nothing. Okay, So that relates to storyteller. And the next item is still about storytelling, but it's a different type of storytelling. And my mom, every Sunday evening after dinner, was story time. During the week was the Nancy type story. Sunday evening was Bible story time. And she told us the stories of the Bible. And the one that stuck with me was the one about Dorcas. And she was even called the Dorcas of the community. My parents had 10 children. And we didn't have much, but we were always giving. And she was always caring for the sick and doing everything that biblical Dorcas did. So that piece of work is very, very important in all the works I've created. My dad was a lay preacher for 41 years. And as soon as we could read, Saturday evening, I better get the Bible. And while he was preparing for church, he would tell you the scripture. We had to find those scriptures. Okay, so the next piece of my work that I want to share is one in the spirit. Notice that, do you see the diversity? So I taught Sunday schools for 30 years when I came here. And one of my Sunday school classes, I think it was close to Christmas, I had a picture and had many angels on it. And one kid, precocious, we may say, Miss, are all angels white? It was a teachable moment. So I said, well, we all have our guardian angels. And an angel could be any color we make it to be. And they got it. They really got it. So that's why I created, that inspired that work of art. One in the spirit, red and yellow, black and white and brown. Yes, that represents the guardian angels that I was telling them about. Okay? And the next piece is messengers of hope. And this speaks to homelessness. See the man sitting there by the sidewalk with the child and the 3 creatures around bringing him hope. That is what that piece relates to, hope. And more we are having more and more homeless people out there. I want to commend your church for what you do, because the first time I came here, Rosemary told me there's a garden out there, you cultivate vegetables and you give it to the people, and you're doing a phenomenal job. Keep it up, Pastor.
That's not me.
Or the church, keep up the good work. The next piece that I want, I went online because I wanted to share that piece online. So when I wanted to do a reel, everybody here knows about reel, and say the little thing and play the little music and it goes fast. Yeah, you never done a reel on Instagram? So I went on Instagram and I put a picture and I search, you can search for your music, and I typed Messengers of Hope. And I was amazed, the song that came up. I'm a beggar on the streets of love. Oh, it warmed my, test it out, Renee, look it up. I'm a beggar on the street of love. And that is why that piece relates to that comfort that those preachers were giving to that homeless man, and what the church is doing and what your church is doing for the homeless. I commend you for that. Life's dimension. I'm a writer too. I wrote a poem. This is my most philosophical work of art, and it speaks volumes. Life, 4 dimensions. Life has a bright side, dark side, peaks and valleys. But life is what you make it. So always look at the bright side and aim for the peak. And guess what? We learn a lot. Well, I can attest to that. When you're on the dark side of life, that is when you learn your most valuable lessons. If you are always on the bright side, you probably wouldn't learn anything. And I always equate that to people who are incarcerated. And sadly, that they have to learn when they're incarcerated, but some people have gone to jail and come out better people, preachers, lawyers, etc. So the dark side of life does teach lessons. And when you are on the peak of life, you're not even stable. See those wobbly figures up there? And the valley. You ever heard people say, I'm in the valley of depression? Ever heard that term? Well, guess what? The valley is a fertile soil. My father was a small farmer, cultivate crops. And you cultivate your crops not on the hilltops, but in that valley. So the valley is growth. So life has its bright side, its dark side, it peaks and valleys. But life is what you make it always. Reflect on the bright side, aim for the peak. During the pandemic, I used that with children who came to my gallery to paint. And it was very comforting to them to know that you can always move away from the dark side and go to the bright side. Hope, dream, faith. That's the next one. And I'm not intending to be political. I'm not going there. However, we have to be real. Life is real. So in 2008, then Senator of Illinois, he was a senator then, Barack Obama, came to Rodney Square in Wilmington, Delaware, and he hosted a meeting. Approximately 10,000 people were there. I was one of them. And the message was a message of hope and change. Yes, we can. And I took it literally and created that work of art. But notice to the right is Dr. Martin Luther King. So there is hope, which President Obama gave us or tried to give us. Dream, I have a dream, Dr. Martin Luther King. And we, the people, need to have faith. But faith without work, what the Bible says? I know my scripture. Okay, yes. And from there, we go to, how could I talk about Black history without talking about Bob Marley? And I should have brought my CD. All the people who know me on Facebook, they know me as the dancing artist. And Bob Marley is from my hometown in Jamaica, St. Anne. He's from 9 miles and I'm from way up in the hills called Bensonton. And my late husband was a friend of the Marley family. They used to travel to Jamaica. But more than the music, that man was a great philosopher, and he left a legacy. If you have never heard it, again, go to YouTube. There is a video out there with people of every race, class, singing the One Love song. Let's try it. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right. One love. Let's get together. Feel all right. Yeah, that's Bob Marley. He lived here in the city of Wilmington, down in the late 60s and early 70s. He worked at Chrysler here in Newark. He worked the night shift, wrote the song on the night shift while working the night shift. He worked in the lab at DuPont. He lived over by 24th and Tatnall, and the park across from where he lived has been converted into One Love Park with an ordinance from the city in 2030, thanks to then City President Theo Gregory, and dedicated that park to Bob Marley. And notice you have dreadlock Caucasian, dreadlock Black people, dreadlock Indians, dreadlock every race in that piece of. So that's where the One Love, and it is titled united by reggae music. Because reggae music unites the world. Regardless of who you are, you love reggae music. Anybody in this room don't know about reggae music? Okay. Oh. As I mentioned music, I want to relate it to a part of my story, which was not in my bio. And that is the story of losing your loved one. I lost my dear husband of 31 years with cancer in 2015. It's going to be 8 years coming up on the 4th of May. And it was music. It was music. And it was art that kept me grounded, that helped me to rebound from grief to growth. And when my siblings came from New York, packed me up, I gave away all my pots and pans, and they said, come to New York, you work in storage, you work in fly off the water, send and get them. I said, give me time to pray. And I prayed. And God gave me the vision to open that gallery. And it is more than a gallery, it's called a vision center. I teach classes, they're free for people. And Rosemary, I want you to come in for a class, free. See? Yes, you've just gone through grief. Okay. Yeah. Heart. Be heart. You know, I call it ART from the HEART. Art from the heart. It's healing, and you can get healing from art and music. When the pandemic broke and we were locked down, I took my CD home, my paints, etc., and Bob Marley again, 3 little birds. Don't worry about the thing, cause every little thing gonna be all right. That consoled me. So the power of music and the power of art and the power of spirituality and journaling. So if you're oppressed or whatever, journal it, write it down in a journal and write about ways that you can overcome. My dad knew almost every psalm in the Bible. And when we were traveling, Psalm 121. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time henceforth and even forevermore. Psalm 23. God my shepherd. We're not rich, we're poor. But my mom would pray and hooked up some way, something came. So I just wanted to share this with you, the power of music, the power of art, journaling, and how you can rebound from grief to growth. Thank you very much for having me here this evening. I want to make a present. I want to present this to you.
Oh, thank you so much. One in the spirit. Find a great place to. Was like, can somebody come up and take a photo?
I'm trying to.
You're trying to?
Yes.
2000, is that when you painted that?
Yeah.
2000?
Yeah.
I'm not there.
Leverage, right? One more. Okay.
And
Thank you so
I
much.
invite you all to come to the LaFate Gallery Vision Center. It is located at 227 North Market Street in Wilmington. Everyone knows where Al Sporting Goods is. No, but it's like more people don't know much about the city. It's down on 2nd and Market Street. And my gallery is open from Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 4. It's going to be 5 or 6 now. The rooms are getting longer. And I do paint parties. I do all kinds of very interesting, engaging things at the gallery. So come and visit. Thank you. Thank you.
We have plenty of time for your questions.
Yes,
Comments.
I'd be delighted to take some questions and to clarify that one, like the child asked, if all angels are white, you know, children are curious. And we have to be like very open-minded and welcome their questions.
You wanna talk about the charity events that you run through your,
Oh, that. Thank you, Rosemary, for that question. I have a program called The Art of Charity, Benefit, Art Sale and Auction, whereby I partner with churches and other organizations using my art. You don't have to do anything hardly. You partner with me, we have a meeting, we set it up, and you sell tickets, you collect upfront, all the ticket money, 100% goes to your organization. And then we have the auction. The reason for selling the ticket, if I have a ticket, I'm more likely to attend rather than to just invite me. So I suggest like $25 for the ticket. And again, if they don't come, you still have that money. And the money goes to the church or the organization, 100%. Then I sell my art and I give you 30%. Come on, that's a deal. And you know, it's a triangle. It's the patron who buys the art, walking away with wealth. It is the organization on the other hand, side of the triangle benefiting, and at the base of the triangle, then yes, the LaFate Gallery benefits too. It's a win-win-win. So I would be willing to do some charity. I did it with your organization, Rosemary, for it.
With what organization connects this?
no, not connection,
Oh.
I have another life, another.
Oh, okay.
I'm a part of a group, Delaware, Africa and Caribbean Coalition,
Okay.
yes, so basically, that's where I first met. Surprisingly, that's where I first met
Yes.
Miss Eunice, even though we're from the same parish in Jamaica and everything, but that's where I met her.
Small world,
Yes, and ever since, that couple of years ago, right?
yes.
So what we do actually is to promote the business of people of African descent
Mhm.
here in Delaware and beyond. So whatever the business, the interest, we try, as a group, we try to move it forward. Just align with them and bring in opportunities where they can actually succeed. That's one of our goals.
So I'd be delighted to do a charity for you because you serve the homeless, you do a lot in the community work. And as I said, it's a win-win. And and there's an online component. I put a web link on my page called Art of Charity Benefit Art Sale. And a sorority group from California partnered with me. They didn't do anything like it. They shipped it all free. And we raised several $1,000 and they got their percentage. So I have 30 years of inventory sitting in the gallery. I keep rotating them when these come. I have to find space to put them. Art should not be in storage. Should be on the wall someplace. So I invite you to partner, collaborate, and so we can raise money that will benefit your church.
How did you start painting?
Oh,
Did you
good
like-
question.
You like drawing as a
Oh.
child?
That's the greatest question. When I was age 7, I started to look around the beauty of nature, the morning, and there was a plant called morning glory. Everyone knows morning glory, and the petals open, and in Jamaica, we call it 4 o'clock, because precisely at 4 o'clock, the petals close. And I would stand up and watch those petals close, wake up in the morning in delight and see the petals open. And I did not have any brushes, no paints, no markers. I had to stick a charcoal from the fire we burned. I had my pencil, I had my wall, and I went around, not to the likeness of my dad, go around and draw on the wall. And then one of my sisters realized my participant, and she gave me a composition book. You know those books with the line exercise, we used to call it exercise book. And I started drawing in it. Then when I went to elementary school and in the upper grades and they saw my talent, we didn't have the fancy borders. I was the decorator. They asked me to decorate the borders and I would write calligraphy. I didn't know this calligraphy. Beautiful fancy lettering. I would write, our motto was, only the best is good enough. And all around the school, you would see that sign. And beautiful flowers on the chalkboard. We used to call it blackboard, because the boards were black.
Right, there was a.
Yes. So that's requested. And then I said, 8, 7, to play school. And he said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to be a teacher and then an artist. Well, sure enough. I became a teacher. I'm retired now, but a lifelong educator. And I'm not your ordinary artist. Blow my horn. I am, famous worldwide. My work has gone during the pandemic, not the pandemic, during the 2020 election, journalists from all over the world were in the city. And they came to my gallery and interviewed me, took images of my work. So my work has gone on. So an art is more than beauty on the wall. Rosemary tell them, art is, it's legacy. You can use it for the next generation. That's why when you come to my art class, paint party, we don't copy. We create original painting. Because we leave it as a legacy. But if you copy Monet or Van Gogh, their pieces, you can even be sued for copying somebody. So, that was a great question. Okay, any other questions for me?
What's your favorite color?
Her.
My favorite color too. That's my favorite color too.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes, preference royalty. And I love my British heritage, I cherish my British heritage.
I have a question. This may be complicated, and Rosemary, maybe you want to weigh in, but there seems to be a thriving Jamaican community in Delaware. What is the history of that community?
It started back in the 60s, and I personally knew the woman, there was one person who started to sponsor other people, and just went on, and Delaware was the place.
Was that the Bob Marley family?
Yes, somebody from the.
Like I said,
Yes.
the Bob Marley, because I know they have a lot of people here.
Yes,
And the people usually from the poor section of Jamaica, too, up in the hills, yes.
Right.
Yes. So they'll bring them, they respond to them, bring them here and help them thrive. So, and plus Delaware is that easy, laid back, kind of state too. It's like, New York has a lot of Jamaicans,
yes.
but when you want the peace of mind, you head to Delaware. The quiet peace of mind, that's, most of us came from New York. And then when you start having the family, kids and everything, you should to Delaware where it's more laid back, easy and stuff. And New York is just what, 2 hours up there, so we'll go shop there and come back later that.
And Jamaicans have contributed a lot to the culture, the greatest architecture in our city.
Desmond Deacon,
Yes, Jamaica, and all, in every capacity you can think, Jamaicans have had some contribution. That's why my piece, and I'm going to get you a copy of it, the melting pot versus the salad bowl. I have a piece of that. I didn't bring it, I should have been there. Because we are no longer this great melting pot we were conceived to be. Through that triangular trade and all of that, and all the people who have come here, we have evolved to be a salad bowl of culture where each individual is an ingredient, adds flavor to that, and can be understood, recognized, and valued, and should not just be treated as a lump or a stew. It's a salad bowl of cultures.
So you briefly mentioned something about the pandemic, but during the first part of the pandemic, when nobody could go anywhere, did you find yourself creating more or less?
More.
And how did
And
you?
not only did I create more, the pandemic and the 13th, how could I forget that day, when the governor announced lockdown. And I took my brushes, paints, etc.
3 years ago.
Yes, I put some great reflections of it. And what I did, I went out to corporations, I did Buccini Polling Group. Children, I know As a classroom teacher, I know it was killing the children, the stress of the homeschooling and the virtual learning. I said, I want to do something for the children. So I went out to get money. I contacted the Virginia Falling Group when they sponsored 20 children. I contacted the Kenny Family Foundation, another 20. I brought them in groups of five at a time, masks, gloves, no touching. They didn't touch the brushes because they had to wear gloves. Safe classes, and the kids poured out. I had two kids from Callaway who said that they were going crazy with the virtual learning and the homeschooling. They couldn't take it anymore. So I was able to help them to relieve the stress again through art. We started creating more. I have a whole series. I call it the Art of Coping series. And you know, it was in March. And I came up with a philosophy. The flowers were blooming and everything was in lockdown. And I said, the beauty of nature is never in lockdown.
Yeah.
And I saw the beautiful rosebuds. So I have my pandemic roses, pandemic hibiscus, you name it, a whole series of flowers, and naturally, two paintings of three little birds. Three little birds. That was my coping mechanism. Don't worry about the thing, because everything's gonna be all right. Great questions, very great questions. Oh, by the way, I have 3 scholarships. I am celebrating Irish Heritage all the month of March. And I'm offering 10 scholarships, but the Newcastle County Irish Society, they already gave me 5, then I got another one. I have 3 spaces left for children ages 6 to 16. The class is going to be this time to their coming, free to you, the parent or guardian. And beneficial to the children, because I'm going to take them on a virtual trip to Ireland, take them to the Museum of Irish History. They're going to learn a lot, and they're going to paint, and they'll have paintings to take home. So if there is anyone here who has children in that age group, let me know. I can lock in those 3 seats. That's what we call charity. Giving back to the community. Dorcas, and new Dorcas up there. I'm also, one of my ancestors was called Jessie Pine. She never take no stuff on the plantation. So when I worked in corporate America, I was a banker for 12 years. I didn't take no stuff either. That's my mom taught me about my ancestor, how strong, you know, blood on the plantation and gave those landers to run for their money. Okay. Any other question for me? Well, I do hope. And at any time, feel free to share it with the congregation. So that those who didn't benefit from it now can see it.
I didn't ask you if I could record, but I did.
And you can tag me and send it, tag me in.
I'll send you, I'll upload it and send you a link, sure.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sure.
My pleasure. I love to share.
All right, let's thank her again.